Welcome, everyone. We're diving deep into the Book of Proverbs today.
Proverbs, huh?
Yeah, it's amazing how much wisdom is packed into those ancient verses.
Definitely timeless stuff.
Absolutely. And we're going to uncover how these teachings can help us live a more fulfilling Christian life. More compassion, stronger character, deeper faith.
Sounds like a tall order.
It is, but Proverbs gives us a roadmap.
A roadmap.
Well, more like a guidebook, really.
Yeah.
Packed with insights into human nature, relationships, how to live a good life,
And it's not just some dry rule book.
No, not at all. It uses these amazing metaphors, vivid imagery.
Brings those principles to life, right? It makes you really think.
Exactly. So we'll be drawing directly from the Book of Proverbs, exploring those key themes and verses that offer insights into living a life guided by faith and virtue.
Awesome. Where do we begin?
Well, let's start with the foundation of wisdom itself.
The foundation. Okay.
Yeah, Proverbs 1.7 tells us, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction."
That one.
It can be a bit confusing. What do you think it means, that fear of the Lord?
I think it's about approaching faith with, awe and reverence. Not being afraid, exactly.
Right, it's not about being terrified of God.
More like recognizing his greatness, understanding the importance of aligning our lives with his teachings.
Yes, exactly. It's about humility, isn't it?
Yeah.
Acknowledging there's a wisdom beyond our own.
Totally.
Yeah.
Seeking his guidance, tapping into that divine knowledge that can change our lives.
It reminds me of that idea of being childlike in faith, open to learning and growing.
Absolutely. And speaking of pursuing wisdom, Proverbs 2.1-5, it encourages us to seek it like hidden treasure, more valuable than material wealth.
Dig for silver, it says. Search for hidden treasures.
Such vivid imagery, right?
Emphasizes how much effort is needed. Wisdom doesn't just fall into our laps.
And it's about prioritizing what matters, isn't it?
Yeah.
We put so much effort into careers, finances, even our physical health.
But what about cultivating wisdom? Strengthening our character, our relationship with God. So true. It's easy to lose sight of what truly nourishes our souls with all the busyness of life.
Proverbs reminds us that seeking wisdom is an investment. It pays off in every area of our lives.
Building that strong foundation, so to speak.
Exactly. With a solid foundation, everything else is more stable, more secure.
Proverbs also talks a lot about family, right?
Yeah.
Building something strong and beautiful.
Oh, absolutely.
Like in Proverbs 1.8-9, parental guidance is described as an ornament of grace and chains about thy neck.
Beautiful imagery, isn't it? It's saying those teachings, those values we get from our parents, they're precious gifts, especially when rooted in faith.
Guiding and protecting us throughout life. Not burdens, but adornments. Enhancing our beauty, strengthening our character.
Then later, Proverbs 6, verses 16-19, it lists 7 things that are detestable to the Lord.
A blueprint for avoiding evil.
Yeah.
Lying, shedding innocent blood, sowing discord among brothers. Pretty clear what God considers abominable.
And though those verses were written thousands of years ago, they still hold true.
It's a timeless reminder to live with integrity, to treat others with kindness and respect, and
to uphold those moral principles that are essential for a just and compassionate society.
It makes you think about how our actions impact not just us, but everyone around us, like ripples spreading out, influencing our families, our communities.
Absolutely. It affects the world at large. Our choices matter.
Speaking of choices, Proverbs also warns us about certain behaviors that can lead us astray.
You're talking about the section on infidelity.
Yes. Proverbs 5 gets the point across with some pretty strong language.
Vivid imagery, too, describing the allure of the adulterous woman. Her lips drip as an honeycomb, her mouth smoother than oil. But then
Verses 5 and 11 warn about those bitter consequences.
Her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. It hits hard.
That contrast between initial sweetness and the ultimate bitterness really makes the message stick.
And that imagery is there for a reason. It's meant to evoke a strong reaction.
To help us understand the potential for devastation, breaking that sacred covenant of marriage.
Sin will take you farther than you want to go, keep you longer than you want to stay.
And cost you more than you want to pay. I've heard that saying.
It's true, though. And it ties into another key theme, guarding our hearts and minds.
Ah, yes. Proverbs 4.23. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Our thoughts and desires shape our actions, our lives.
Guarding our hearts is even more relevant today, don't you think?
Absolutely. We're bombarded with messages from all directions. Social media, advertising, entertainment.
It's a lot to sift through. Can distract us from what truly matters. lead us down the wrong path,
Almost like we need a spiritual fortress around our hearts and minds.
filtering out those negative influences. I like that analogy.
And Proverbs gives us the tools to build that fortress.
Surrounding ourselves with wise counsel, seeking guidance from those who embody the values we aspire to.
Being intentional about what we consume, who we surround ourselves with.
Choosing those influences that help us grow in faith and virtue.
And that growth, it's a process, isn't it?
Definitely a journey, not a destination. Just like a tree needs sunlight and water, our hearts and minds need to be nourished with truth, goodness, beauty.
Spiritual gardening, I guess you could say.
I like that. Tending the soil of our hearts, planting seeds of faith and virtue.
Cultivating a life that bears the fruit of the Spirit.
Speaking of bearing fruit, Proverbs 3, verses 13 to 18, it talks about wisdom as a tree of life.
Beautiful image, isn't it?
Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. It reminds us that aligning with God's wisdom, it's not about deprivation.
It's about true joy, fulfillment, and inner peace.
Exactly. Not restriction, but abundance.
I've definitely felt that peace and direction when I've sought God's guidance in my own life.
Those experiences can be powerful reminders. The power of wisdom to guide us through tough times.
Lead us towards a path with purpose and meaning, like a compass, pointing us in the right direction even when we feel lost. Back again, ready to dig deeper into the wisdom of Proverbs. It's like an ancient guidebook for modern life, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, packed with practical advice for all sorts of things.
Last time we talked about the foundation of wisdom, family, guarding our hearts. But Proverbs covers so much more, like how do we handle work, finances, relationships, all that good stuff.
Well, let's start with work. Diligence, perseverance, finding purpose in what we do. Proverbs has a lot to say about that.
So it's not just about, clocking in and out.
Definitely not. Proverbs 10.4 says, He becometh poor that dealeth with a slack hand, but the hand of the diligent maketh rich.
Work ethic. Putting in the effort, even when no one's watching.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just money. Proverbs 12.11 adds, He that tilleth his land shall be satisfied with bread, but he that followeth vain persons is void of understanding. Meaningful work, contributing to something bigger than ourselves. That's where real satisfaction comes from.
Finding that sweet spot, right, where our skills and passions meet a purpose that helps others.
You got it. And speaking of purpose, Proverbs also talks about how we use our words. The mouth of a righteous man is a well of life. Proverbs 10.11 says, But violence covereth the mouth of the wicked.
Powerful image, right? Our words have such an impact. Building up or tearing down, encouraging or discouraging.
They can bring healing or cause harm. It all depends on how we use them.
And timing matters too, doesn't it? Proverbs 15.23 says, A word spoken in due season, how good is it? Choosing our words carefully, speaking with empathy.
A kind word at the right moment can make all the difference.
So it's not just what we say, but how and when we say it. Mindful communication.
Now, how about finances? That's a topic Proverbs addresses head on.
Oh yeah, finances can be stressful for a lot of people.
Yeah.
What kind of guidance does Proverbs offer?
Well, first and foremost, contentment and gratitude. Proverbs 15.1 says, Better is a little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure and trouble therewith.
True wealth isn't about how much stuff we have, right?
Exactly. It's about our relationship with God, the peace that comes from aligning our lives with His will.
Focus on what we have, not what we lack. Finding joy in the simple things.
And while Proverbs encourages diligence and hard work, it also cautions against the love of money, that pursuit of wealth at all costs.
Proverbs 11.28 puts it bluntly. He that trusteth in his riches shall fall, but the righteous shall flourish as a branch.
Our true security, our worth, it's not tied to our bank accounts.
It's in our relationship with God and the character we build.
And speaking of character, Proverbs highlights humility as a key ingredient for a fulfilling life. Proverbs 11.2 tells us, When pride cometh, then cometh shame, but with the lowly is wisdom.
Makes sense, doesn't it? The more we try to exalt ourselves, the harder we fall.
But approaching life with humility, knowing we don't have all the answers, being open to learning.
That's where true wisdom lies.
And it allows for genuine connection with others. Humility makes us approachable, open to different perspectives.
Creates a space for grace and understanding in our relationships.
Speaking of relationships, Proverbs has plenty of wisdom for building strong connections. Proverbs 17.1, for example. A friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity.
True friendship, right. Being there through thick and thin, offering support.
And Proverbs 18.24 adds, A man that hath friends must show himself friendly, and there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother.
Friendship's a two-way street. We got to be a good friend to have good friends. Being present, supportive, showing up for the people in our lives.
It's about building those deep connections that enrich our lives.
Now, while having good friends is important, Proverbs also cautions against isolating ourselves.
Like Proverbs 18.1 says, through desire a man, having separated himself, seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom. Isolating ourselves can lead to skewed thinking.
It's like navigating a maze without a map. We need those different perspectives that community support to help us stay on track.
We're not meant to go through life alone, right? We need each other.
To face the challenges, celebrate the victories. All of it.
And speaking of challenges, Proverbs really emphasizes resilience, perseverance, keeping hope alive in the face of adversity.
Proverbs 24.16 comes to mind. A just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief.
It's not about avoiding failure. It's about getting back up when we stumble.
Learning from our mistakes, growing through those tough times.
Exactly. Setbacks are part of life, but they don't define us. We can choose to come out stronger, more resilient, even wiser.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, as they say.
And Proverbs reminds us where to find strength and comfort in those moments. Proverbs 18.10 says, the name of the Lord is a strong power. The righteous runneth into it and is safe.
Finding refuge in our faith, knowing we're not alone in the storm.
Exactly. And now we're coming to a section of Proverbs that's close to my heart. Parenting.
Parenting, full of joys and challenges, that's for sure. I'm always looking for wisdom in that area. What does Proverbs have to say?
Well, there's that famous verse, Proverbs 22.6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Laying that foundation of faith and morality early on.
So important, right?
Yeah.
Giving them that moral compass to guide them.
And Proverbs 13.24 reminds us that discipline, even though it's hard sometimes, is a form of love. It says, he that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chasteneth him betimes. Of course, we understand this in the context of loving guidance and correction.
Setting boundaries, teaching right from wrong, helping them develop that self-control and good character.
Precisely. But it's not just about correcting bad behavior. It's about praising and encouraging the good, too. Affirming their strengths, celebrating their accomplishments.
Creating a supportive environment where kids feel loved, valued, and empowered to grow.
Beautifully said. And I think that's a good point to pause for now. We've covered quite a bit in this segment.
From work and finances to relationships, humility, resilience, and parenting. It's amazing how much ground Proverbs covers.
And it all still applies today, doesn't it? Timeless guidance for navigating life's ups and downs.
Absolutely. We still have more to uncover, though. Next time, we'll delve into those more poetic, metaphorical passages in Proverbs, exploring those deeper layers of meaning.
The power of imagery and symbolism. It'll be fascinating to see what we discover.
Back for more Proverbs. We've covered so much practical stuff, but today we're getting into a more poetic section, right?
Definitely. We're looking at Proverbs 30 now. This is where we hear from Agur.
Agur.
Yeah, he's got his own unique voice, and he starts off really humbly. Surely I am more brutish than any man, and have not the understanding of a man. Like he's acknowledging his own limitations.
I like that. A reminder that we can always keep learning.
Exactly. But even though he starts humbly, Agur has some deep insights. Like in Proverbs 30.56, he talks about the purity and authority of God's word. We shouldn't try to add to it or distort it.
Every word of God is pure, it says. Add thou not unto his words, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar.
Wow. Powerful stuff. A call to approach Scripture with reverence, accepting it as it is.
Not trying to twist it to fit our own ideas.
Exactly. And then there's this fascinating prayer in Proverbs 30.79, where Agur asks for 2 specific things.
Okay, what are they?
He says, remove far from me vanity and lies. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food convenient for me. It's like he's asking for that middle ground. Not too much, not too little.
Interesting. What's the reasoning behind that?
He goes on to explain, lest I be full and deny thee and say, who is the Lord? Or lest I be poor and steal and take the name of my God in vain. He recognizes that both extremes can be dangerous.
Excess can make us complacent, right? Forgetful of our dependence on God, and poverty can lead to desperation.
We might compromise our values if we're desperate enough.
It's about finding that balance, I guess. Contentment and gratitude, regardless of our circumstances.
Now in Proverbs 30.1516, Agur uses this metaphor of the horse leech. It's describing those insatiable desires, the kind that are never satisfied.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. The horse leech hath 2 daughters, crying, give, give. It makes you think about the things we chase after in life, doesn't it? Will they truly fulfill us?
It's a reminder to check our motivations. Are we pursuing things that lead to life or just emptiness?
Gotta be careful what you wish for sometimes. You just might get it.
Then, in Proverbs 30.21-23, we see a description of situations that can throw a society into chaos. For 3 things, the earth is disquieted, and for 4, which it cannot bear.
What are those things?
It lists, for a servant when he reigneth, and a fool when he is filled with meat, for an odious woman when she is married, and an handmaid that is heir to her mistress.
Misplaced power. That can be a dangerous thing.
When those in authority abuse their power, or when people without wisdom have too much influence, things fall apart.
We need leaders with character and integrity.
Absolutely. Then Agur shifts gears a bit and talks about the power of small things. In Proverbs 30.24-28, he uses these tiny creatures, ants, conies, locusts, and spiders, to teach us about diligence, perseverance, adaptability.
Finding wisdom in nature. Love that.
It reminds us that we can learn from anything if we're paying attention, even the smallest creatures.
It's about observation, finding inspiration in those unexpected places.
And then Agur wraps up his discourse with this really powerful statement. Surely the churning of milk bringeth forth butter, and the wringing of the nose bringeth forth blood. So the forcing of wrath bringeth forth strife.
Wow, that's a vivid image. Forcing our will on others, lashing out in anger.
It only leads to more conflict, more pain.
A call for self-control, peaceful resolution.
Exactly. And that brings us to the final chapter of Proverbs, Proverbs 31. It offers a really unique perspective on wisdom through the lens of femininity.
Ah, yes, the famous passage about the virtuous woman.
It's often seen as the ideal for womanhood, but it's not just about being a good wife or mother. It's a celebration of strength, wisdom, compassion, entrepreneurial spirit.
Those qualities are valuable for everyone, not just women.
Right. And the chapter starts with a strong message about using your influence wisely, advocating for those in need. Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes strong drink, lest they drink and forget the law, and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted. Give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those that be of heavy hearts. Let him drink and forget his poverty, and remember his misery no more. Open thy mouth for the dumb in the cause of all such as are appointed to destruction. Open thy mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy.
A call to action. To use our positions, our influence, to lift others up. Speak up for the voiceless. Seek justice and righteousness.
And then comes that well-known line. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. Setting the stage for this beautiful description of woman who embodies so many qualities. Strength, wisdom, compassion, entrepreneurial spirit.
She's a hard worker, a savvy businesswoman, a caring mother, an inspiration to her family and community.
And it's not just about outward achievements. Proverbs 31.26 describes her as speaking with wisdom and having the law of kindness on her tongue.
True beauty comes from within, doesn't it? It's about our character, our compassion, our wisdom.
Absolutely. And the chapter ends with this affirmation. Give her of the fruit of her hands and let her own works praise her in the gates. Recognizing and celebrating the contributions of women.
Honoring their strength and wisdom. Appreciating the impact they have.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Proverbs, what are we taking away from all this?
Proverbs is full of wisdom for living a good life, a life grounded in faith and virtue. It's about seeking wisdom actively, prioritizing our relationship with God, building strong relationships, working with purpose.
It's about guarding our hearts and minds, using our words and actions to make a positive difference.
It's about understanding that true wealth isn't about material possessions.
It's about the character we build, the love we share, the impact we have on the world.
And approaching life with humility, recognizing we're always learning. That even in the midst of challenges, we can find strength and hope in our faith and in the love of those around us.
Proverbs truly is a timeless treasure, offering guidance and inspiration for all of us.
It's been an amazing journey exploring it together. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.